Hi guys, so in this video I want to show us how to cut and sew a simple shaped dress. So my fabric is already on fold, okay, and I have my shoulder line here. Then my shoulder to the chest line, I'm using 9 1/4 of an inch, okay, and then shoulder to the length of the dress. So I'm a fan of short dresses actually, so I have 37 inches in total there, plus my seam allowance. Now on the chest line, I'm going to mark half of my across back, which is 7.5, I beg your pardon, 7.5, because my across back is 15. So I'm marking 7.5 on the shoulder line. So what I've done is half of shoulder measurement on the shoulder and chest line, okay? Then I'm going to use my ruler to connect the two lines together, okay? So there we go, like that. And then next thing, on the chest line, I'll mark cut out my bust. I'll add a little bit of ease. So cut out my bust is 9.5. I'll make it 9.75 because of ease. Then I'll now add 1 inch for side seam allowance. Okay, it's a shift dress, not supposed to be, you know, fitted, just, you know, slightly loose and all. You don't need waistline for this dress, you don't need a hip line, so just go straight to the hemline of the dress. Okay, now because it's supposed to be loose, what you do is you're going to add ease to your hip measurement, because if you use your hip measurement, it's going to be fitted around the hip and then loose down. So I'll mark cut out my hip plus ½ inch for ease. Cut out my hip is 10.5. I'll make it 11 for ease. Okay, then I'll now add 1 inch for side seam allowance. I hope that makes sense. What I'm saying in essence is don't use your original hip measurements. If your hip measurement is 10, you can do 10.5. If it's 12, like that. So I'll put the same measurement on the like halfway between my chest line and the hemline, the same 11 inches, then 1 inch for side seam allowance. Okay, then I will use my ruler to link all the points together. Okay, so basically I added ease to all my measurements, right? So I will join everything together. So let me repeat myself again. Cut out my hip is 10.5. I made it 11 for ease, minus the seam allowance. Okay, ease and seam allowance are two different things. Ease makes your garment easy to wear without like any fitting or sort of. Okay, so now after linking it together, I'm going to chop off the excess on and anything outside the side seam allowance. I'm going to chop it off, right? So but I'm trying to make my markings very visible so that we can see. Okay, so now now for the neckline, now mind you, I have two folded fabrics, so I'm cutting front and back together. For my neck width, I'm going to be doing probably 3 or 4 inches, because this dress does not have a zipper, so the neck needs to be wide enough. Then I'll come down by 1 inch. So this is my back neckline. You understand? Yeah, my back neckline. I'm doing 4 by 1 inch. So I'll just use my fairing curve to create the neckline for the back. Meanwhile, I said the two folded pieces are front and back, but I want to cut the back first, so I'm just going to draw the back neckline like this. Then I'll come down my 1 inch for my shoulder slant. From the shoulder line, I'll come down my 1 inch. Then I'll use my ruler to drop the shoulder slant. Yeah, okay, so this is my shoulder slant, and then I'll just go ahead to use my varying curve to also draw my armhole. Now some of you might be used to using chalk to, you know, draw a lot of stuff. I prefer to use tools like to get it very accurate. Now from the slanted shoulder to the chest line, I will find the midpoint. Okay, so this is like 8, so the midpoint is going to be 4. Okay, then I'll come in slightly by ½ inch and then draw the curve of my armhole as seen, like so. Now when I want to cut this out, I'm going to add seam allowance. Okay, what some people call sewing allowance, but in essence it's called seam allowance, not sewing allowance. I used to say sewing allowance before anyway, you know. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out, like I said, I'll be adding seam allowance to it. And mind you, the second folded fabric under is going to be the front. So the only thing I'll alter later on the fabric on that's going to be the neckline. Everything is the same thing. So I'm just cutting and I'm adding my seam allowance. So you can see that I'm not cutting on the original marking. Added half-inch seam allowance to the fabric, right? But I'm cutting the front and back together. When I remove this back now, we can now adjust the neckline for the front. Hope I'm making sense, right? Okay, so that's it over there. Then I want to remove the back, which is the one on the top or on top. I remove it and adjust the neckline for the back. Yeah, so this is it here. Okay, and I need to trim off the excess on the side also. So for styles like this, you don't have to necessarily use pattern, yeah, except you're someone that is producing in large quantity and you have someone working for you, so you can have this on your pattern, right, and then give it to your staff so they can cut like 100 pieces of this particular size. Except that you can just cut it directly on fabric, okay, to save time. Instead of drafting one particular size like 100 times, just use one pattern to cut everything. Okay, so I'm taking off my pins and I want us to adjust the back neckline now. Try the front. Yeah, so we can use any of them for the front. Now don't forget that I came down by 1 inch from the neckline. Okay, so I'll just place my tip on the original marking of the neckline and I'll come down by, and now mark 4 inches. So my front neckline is 4 inch. Okay, that's the neck depth rather. So now I'm just going to draw the neckline with my chalk. Then when I want to cut out, I will not cut out on the marking. I'm going to add seam allowance. So after sewing, you now come back to the original measurement. Okay, so this is it here. Can you see? Right, so I'll just add ½ inch for seam allowance. I'm just showing us the way I mark. Then you come down by 8 inches. Yes, sorry, still from the neckline I'm marking 8 inches because there's going to be a slight opening in front. Okay, so I'll just either mark it with my chalk or I'll use my iron to press this particular front piece. By the time I open it or when I want to start sewing, the fold will show me the center of the dress, if that makes sense. So I'm just cutting out like that. Now I know I didn't show this part, but I cut out a facing for the front and back. Facing is a shorter version of your dress, just like a lining, but it's just short. So this is the back here. I cut out the facing for the back and you see it's just short. Okay, so you use the facing to turn the neckline because I'm not using lining for this dress. It's a simple shape dress. Okay, so facing is a shorter version of your lining, you understand? So I'm just turning the back neckline like so. Then when you finish, you're going to trim the neckline. You trim it like that. Then you back stitch. The back stitching will prevent the neckline from, sorry, the facing from sticking out, right? Okay, I'm not back stitching here. I think I didn't stitch that part well. Okay, so once you do this, you separate the facing like this, and then you stitch the seam allowance onto the facing. Can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, so when you do this, it prevents this facing from coming out. In fact, even when you use the regular lining, you should always stitch your seam allowance to the lining, right? Yeah, so just do as you can see how I'm doing it, and make sure you stretch the fabric well so that the facing doesn't get caught under. So once you you top stitch like this, even without ironing, the neckline will sit perfectly. So I also cut out the facing for the front. Okay, now for the front, I'm also turning the neckline, and then I added interfacing to the center of my neckline in front. Okay, that's interfacing. If you don't add this interfacing, by the time you cut the neckline into two, that's that middle part there, it will be falling. It won't have a perfect it won't stand properly basically. So now I'm just sewing like up to that 8-inch mark we marked. Okay, I'm making like a U. You understand? I didn't know that I didn't show this part of the video. So I'm making like a U shape on the middle part there. Okay, and then now I'm going to cut it open. So let me turn it to the other side so that we can see what I'm saying. Okay, good. So this is it here. Okay, so I'm just cutting it open. I don't know, somehow that part is not showing the video. Sorry about that. Okay, but yeah. Okay, so this is what I just did here. Okay, I have like a small opening in front. Okay, so now I'm just making the sleeves. Like I'm doing a rolled hem for the lower part of my sleeve, like that. It's a very simple dress, actually, very simple dress. And yeah, this is the lower part of the sleeve. So I'm just doing a rolled hem for the sleeve. And now next thing is to attach. You're going to attach the sleeve to the armhole before you go ahead to sew the side seam. So I'm sewing the second sleeves like that. Okay, I didn't actually plan to post this video, honestly, so that's why probably I did not do like a full video, but then I believe you can still learn one or two things on the video. Now I want to attach my pocket to the dress. Yeah, I also added the pocket to the dress, and I suppose a lot of us here know how to fix pockets. Okay, so your pocket should, you know, be like 1 or 2 inches away from the side seam. Yeah, so now I'm just attaching the sleeve to the armhole, like I said, before you go ahead to sew the side seam. So basically for me, if I'm sewing this kind of dresses, I always sew my side seam allowance from the sleeve all the way down to the hemline. Yeah, so make sure you notch it so that the sleeve will sit properly. Yeah, and then yeah, I think I'm just fixing the second sleeves, and then I'll just roll them for the lower part of the dress, and this is the outcome. Very simple dress. So I hope you learned something from this tutorial. If there are styles that you would like me to like teach, do let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.